Once upon a time, it was extremely easy to figure out the Google Ads algorithm. I mean, during this time, it was as simple as being the highest bidder when it came to Google Ads, or just having the best performing landing page with the right colors, buttons, so on and so forth. However, 2023 has brought a twist. When it comes to Google Ads algorithm, it is no longer that simple to get results with Google Ads. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how the Google Ads algorithm works in 2023 and onwards, and how you can use it to your advantage and grow your e-commerce brand as a result. Now, let's take a step back. Most e-commerce store owners know basic strategies when it comes to testing products, maybe even with scaling products. And these e-commerce brands might also be getting pretty decent results with Google Ads. But the reality is, from what I see at least, 95% of e-commerce store owners have only touched the tip of the iceberg when it comes to real Google Ads power. They're not using the algorithm or their ad account to the full potential. Obviously, this means they're leaving a lot of money on the table. But what do you do? How do you get around it? Now, trust me, before you even consider scaling your brand considerably to the next level with Google, it's important to understand the fundamentals of Google Ads, and that's what we're gonna cover. Let's just start talking about these fundamentals. Now, before we get into any specific details, let's understand Google Ads on a very broad level. What is Google Ads? In simple words, Google Ads is a search-based platform. This is super important because when you go onto Google, for example, right here on my screen, and we type something onto Google, like for example, buy 3D printer, my legendary example of 3D printer, what happens within that millisecond is an auction starts to happen in the back end right after I click the search button. This auction has multiple members within it, and these members are no other than these brands that you see right here. So within that millisecond that passed between when I clicked the search button and when these competitors showed up, this auction kind of progressed and ended all in that time period. Now, this might kind of bring you to the next question. How do you get your e-commerce brand within this auction? And most important of all, how do you win these auctions? That's a very good question. In terms of this auction, there's a lot of things Google Ads is actually taking into consideration to determine that formlabs.com should be number one, and to determine that FlashForge should be right in the middle of these placements right here. The number one thing is bid. There's no running away from it. Bid is important, and it's a crucial part of winning this auction. Now, does that mean that just because Formlabs ranked number one and FlashForge was all the way back here, that FlashForge was bidding any less than Formlabs, or vice versa? The answer is no, because this brings us to the second thing, which is the overall optimization of your ads. How optimized is your image? How optimized is your title? How optimized is your pricing compared to your competitors? And how optimized is your shopping listing as a whole? Does it have reviews? Does it have a return policy? Or is it just plain and simple where it just says free shipping? These things directly impact where you rank within shopping, because this then directly influences the CTR, which is the third most important thing of the algorithm and what it's using to determine where you should rank. So simply put, if people within this niche prefer this red colored and this black colored printer, and they don't mind spending $11,000 on it, they're gonna click more on this printer. As a result, Google is gonna think this brand is doing something right, hence why so many people are clicking on this ad. As a result, they will probably end up number one, number two, number three, so on and so forth. Compared to the listing probably at the very back, like this one right here. It's a black colored one with the blue inside. The pricing is only $869. It's by FlashForge. Now, the CTR might be low for this, or the bid might be low, but clearly there is something wrong with this shopping listing. And if we kind of connect it to the CTR, maybe just the number of customers clicking on this ad is much, much lower compared to the other listings appearing at the very front. So as a result, it's getting pushed more to the back because either the bid is very low or the overall optimization score is not high enough, meaning the title is not good enough, the image is not catchy enough, the pricing is too low or maybe even too high, or the CTR, just people are not interacting with it because they don't like that specific model. These three things, I would say, really determine majority of your success with shopping ads. And then number 4, and I already kind of mentioned this, but it has to do more with relevancy in terms of the title. Now, is your title, if I type in 3D printer, directly targeting me, a 3D printer customer, or if I'm typing in 3D printer, your listing is coming up where it says 4D printer or 2D printer or 1D printer, basically anything besides a 3D printer. If that is the case, then obviously Google is not gonna prefer your ad to be in the beginning, because number 1, less people will interact with it, hence your CTR will be low. But also number 2, you're just not relevant to begin with, and Google does kind of crawl through the titles and the descriptions to understand what kind of keywords to rank you for. So if you kind of keep in mind these 4 things, and that's essentially why it's so important to understand that shopping ads is a search-based platform. That means you need to have a very good perceived value of your product, because first of all, you're ranking side by side with competitors, but also a customer comes to you if they're first of all in the mood to even buy that product in the first place. So it's crucial for you to kind of make your shopping listing specifically more directed towards appealing to this kind of user who's searching for your products, is comparing you against your competitors, and you need to take the necessary steps to be ranking high in the auction, to be winning more of these auctions, because essentially what that's gonna mean for your e-commerce brand is a lot of scale long term and a lot of growth long term. But that kind of does it for shopping. That's pretty much how the Google Shopping Ads algorithm works. What about Google Search Ads? So if we scroll right here to the bottom, we can see a bunch of search ads appearing. Sometimes they don't appear. Like for example, let's keep on scrolling until we see some search ads popping up, and that too good search ads. So really nothing is still popping up as I continue to scroll down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually go on over to isearchfrom.com, and from here we're gonna do a basic random search done within the United States, because sometimes your IP address actually determines whether anything pops up or not. So in this case, what we're gonna do, we're not gonna put language as 3D printer, we're gonna put English as the language and 3D printer at the bottom. And now we're gonna scroll down to see if any ad is popping up. So once we scroll down, we can see still no ads are popping up. I'm gonna come back to you guys once I find a good ad popping up. Now I had to change my search just a little bit, because despite doing a bunch of searches for 3D printer, nothing was coming up. So instead, we decided to go with a mole remover, and we can see immediately a bunch of search ads come up. By the way, that is one thing you want to keep in mind, where if you're doing searches for a particular product within your niche or for your niche in general, and you don't see any search ad, that's really not a good thing, because that means a lot of your competitors have probably already tried search ads and miserably failed with it. So technically that's really not a good thing. It's good to see some competitors, and the thing with 3D printer was we weren't really seeing many search ads come up. However, that could also be a simple glitch within the system. But moving on now to how the algorithm works in terms of search ads, very similar to shopping ads. However, you can take away the piece where the perceived value of that individual product plays a key role, because with search ads, you don't see the product image, you don't see the product pricing. In many cases, you don't see the product description either. So what do you see, and how does the algorithm work in this case? Well, first of all, again, with the algorithm, when you do a simple search on Google for a particular product or whatever, there's an auction going on in the millisecond that it took for you to see these search results, where all of these search campaigns went into that auction. And in terms of what won the auction for a search campaign, multiple things determine the winners. Things such as the bidding that you do for your search ads, the overall ad copy, meaning what's the CTR of your ad. Are a lot of people interacting with it, or most people just kind of scrolling past it? That's a very important indicator of how good your search ad is in Google's eyes. And also number 3, how big is your search ad? So with shopping, it was about the perceived value and if you applied for all those GMC, Google Merchant Center programs or not. With search ads, it's about how big is your ad copy. Is it taking up 4 lines of space, or is it only taking up 3 lines of space? Believe it or not, that plays a big role in determining what your CTR will be, because whatever takes up room, most customers will actually end up clicking on it. So your ad copy and the size of it really plays a big role. And then finally, your quality score, your ad rank, those things which are directly influenced by your bid, the relevancy of the keywords you're targeting with your search ad compared to what you want to target for, and also overall the landing page experience. So essentially, what happens after a customer, or me in this case, clicks on this ad and goes on the landing page. Do I just exit right away, or am I sticking to that page, looking through it, etc., etc.? These things directly determine, these things are clear indicators to the algorithm that, hey, this search ad is very good, versus, hey, this search ad sucks, get rid of it completely. Because to Google, the customer that's searching, that's the #1 priority. You as the ad creator is the #2 priority. So unfortunately, you're really not that important in Google's eyes. But that kind of sums up the overall algorithm and how it works compared to shopping ads and then search ads. Now keep in mind the algorithm is pretty much the same as it is for search ads for the other ad types like display ads, discovery, so on and so forth, with very minute changes. But overall, if you understand the algorithm, that's your first step of scaling your brand to the next level. If you're doing $40,000 or more per month in revenue, you need just a little bit of extra help scaling your brand to the next level. Go on my website at yourmarketing.com and book a free call with me to see how we can possibly work together and make that happen. But I want you to watch this video right here to the right of your screen, which explains exactly how you can scale your e-commerce brand to the next level in 2023 through different Google ad strategies. And click on the side of the screen as well to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.